Hi, I'm Diane Lalomia, and it's time to talk. I'm learning how to let my art be a connection. This enlightenment came from a book that I'm reading by Julia Cameron, called The Vein of Gold. She's also the author of The Artist Way. Today's vlog is brought to you by B12. September is B12 Awareness Month, and it's personally affected me, and that's one thing I want to talk about today. Last month, back in August, I started exploring a new medium for me, colored pencils. I'll show you what I've done so far. But first, I had a visit by the breakfast bunch, a couple of juvenile deer in my front yard. They came to eat my hostas. I heard bucks snort as they left. One of them was definitely a young buck. They left my flowers in the front alone. I'm grateful. One year they ate every flower bud before any had a chance to bloom. So while I'm sharing my life from my garden to my studio pursuits, I'll also share my story in hopes it helps someone who may be going through similar challenges. Please keep me in your thoughts and prayers as I start the healing process. If you've been following my videos from last fall and early winter, you've heard me talk about problems swallowing food since Thanksgiving of 2024. My throat had locked up and my gland in my throat was swollen and tight, like I had strep throat. I also had spasms of sorts, like a Charlie horse, beneath my right rib. I suspected the sourdough bread I was baking and eating daily was behind it due to the fermented yeast. I have issues with histamines, and I should have known better. But, sourdough made with freshly milled flour, it's healthy for everyone, right? Except me. I had to learn the hard way. A little research on esophageal spasm came up with EOE, eosinophilic esophagitis. Then I considered a hiatal hernia might be causing the pain beneath my rib, but not the throat. Then my teeth began to ache. The dentist x-rays showed infected lower molars, and I had 5 removed under general anesthesia, only to find another tooth that still had a root and with that a nerve, and it was infected. The pain was bad, and it too was removed by the oral surgeon. The problems swallowing continued, and then other symptoms appeared that didn't have anything to do with digestion. So now what? My weight was dropping from 140 to 98 pounds in a year's time. I was the incredible shrinking woman that was getting very concerned. By August, I was feeling exhausted. I couldn't find the energy to work in the garden or even to take my morning walks. The dizzy spells and my balance were becoming more frequent. Incontinence was becoming a problem, and I found myself unable to remember words or what I was just saying. By then, I was losing hope, and depression came to visit. These were all signs of low B12. I'd been there before. After living for 5 months in 2017 through 2018 with 2 ostomies, an ileostomy, and a colostomy, I had these same symptoms and learned about B12 deficiency. For a couple of years, I was prescribed weekly injections of hydroxycobalamin. This was leading up to COVID, and when the doctors and hospitals were a death trap for the elderly, I avoided the medical system even more than before. I haven't had my injections since early 2021. Well, I went to the doctor and tested family history and my own personal health history, and my current symptoms were enough to get me back on injections. The CBC blood tests don't always tell the whole picture. I had been taking both oral and sublingual methyl B12 for months, but apparently it wasn't doing the trick. I had all these symptoms. An iron deficiency can also skew the test results of a B12 deficiency. Folic acid added to all flowers in the U.S. can disguise a B12 deficiency too. Well, a couple of weeks ago, my echocardiogram showed my ejection fraction is down to 20%, which puts me in heart failure. I had a sudden cardiac arrest in 2014 and a pacemaker implanted in 2015 for a left bundle branch block and an ejection fraction at that time of 16%. Yeah, you heard me, 1-6. The doctor had suggested I get my affairs in order. Instead, I learned a lot about nutrition and the nervous system. You see, I'd learned at that time I had a MTHFR homozygous A1298C mutation and was recommended to take a methylated B complex formulated to lower homocysteine levels. My homocysteine was 19, and the reason that I was tested for MTHFR. I also started infrared saunas, meditations, and yoga classes in addition to cardio rehab sessions. My ejection fraction went from 16 to 50 to 55%, which is considered normal. I found studies recently that showed the connection of B12 with regards to heart failure. I'll put links in the description below for your perusal. That, plus my heart's problem, is a nerve conduction issue with a left bundle branch block. And, by the way, B12 affects the nervous system, not to mention that MTHFR A1298C status is also indicative of nerve system issues. I'll be seeing a new cardiologist in the heart failure clinic next week. I hope that she is open-minded and or already familiar with the link of nutrition to heart failure. Fingers crossed she's familiar with MTHFR, EDS, MCAS, and POTS. If not, well, one thing at a time. They don't learn this stuff in medical school. Oh, the digestive issues seem to be caused by autoimmune gastritis, which I believe was triggered by the sourdough bread and its histamines. This autoimmune gastritis can destroy the intrinsic factor and the parietal cells, which are both instrumental in assimilating B12 in your digestive system. This alone can cause a deficiency in B12. Plus, the fact that I'm over 60 years old and the fact that I have symptoms is a reason to test. The gastric surgeries I've had don't help absorption. And also, a congenital defect, in my case pyloric stenosis, is another on the list of when to test for low B12 if you have symptoms. And it was the year of the onion in my garden. I planted 5 varieties with about 50 starts for each variety. So that has to be about 250 onions? What was I thinking? I now have 11 mesh bags of onions hanging around my house. My cucumbers were really prolific this year, and I was harvesting about 20 pounds of cucumbers every 5 days. The banana peppers have done well too. The jalapenos were more plentiful last year, and the tomatoes were a real disappointment this year. But I was able to grow a few heads of cabbage for the first time. Zinnias, black-eyed Susans, hardy hibiscus, and even some roses are blooming still. Sunflowers brighten up the garden in the late summer sun, and the tiger lilies are taking center stage in the lily garden. I get fascinated by the insects in the garden. Can you tell? Is that weird? I've read a number of books lately. Fiction helps me to escape the madness of the real world. The Vein of Gold by Julia Cameron, leading me to my creative heart. And the Bible for Colored Pencils is packed with information everyone new to colored pencils can use. They can pick up tips and learn new techniques. Do you read more than one book at a time? Or am I weird in that respect too? Oh well. I guess I'm just weird. Were eating themselves out of house and home. After half of the milkweed plant was eaten up, I moved them outside where they had plenty more to munch on. Found 2 of the chrysalises, one on the fence and one in the beans, but nothing's happened so far and I don't think those 2 will make it. But I have been seeing quite a few butterflies flying around in the yard, so some of them did hatch. I hope to morph into a beautiful butterfly someday. I can identify with the extremely bendy body of the caterpillars as they maneuver amongst the milkweed. I wonder if they have EDS. Just kidding. Honey and I work on the greenhouse cleanup, and Sadie helps me pick some hydrangeas to dry. It's the last hurrah for this year's garden. Many of these photos will be used for reference for new paintings in the studio this winter. Late summer into early autumn, the garden is winding down. Nature is a therapy for me, and learning to look at the flowers and enjoy their beauty while I do my best to ignore the weeds that have won the war of the weeds this summer. This is the key to peace, overlooking the bad while being grateful for the beauty in life. Well, in the next few weeks, I'll be back in the garden, picking beans, planting garlic for next year, and picking the last of the crop. I hope my energy returns soon. In the meantime of figuring out what is going on with my body, I've been creating in the studio with colored pencils and drawing various papers, drafting film, and pastel mat. I've read a lot of books and I've done a lot of thinking. Art has been my therapy, a way to deal with the madness in the world today. I listen to classical music, I paint, and I let my nervous system relax. I was heading for a death sentence, and there were days I really wanted to die. I felt so hopeless, and I felt so bad, and I didn't know. I was starving. My heart was failing. People wonder why I spend so much time researching. For me, it could be life or death. I don't want others to suffer. Educate yourself about B12 and be prepared to discuss your symptoms with your doctor, even and especially if you have symptoms and the tests are inconclusive. Negative test results should not preclude symptoms. Good thing the drafting film is so forgiving. It was a new material that allows erasures better than paper. I ended up erasing a lot over the eyes before I was finished. The film also works with a slice tool or an X-Acto knife for erasing finer lines, and it's great for doing fur. Well, back in the studio, I tried to use solvent to blend the pink dahlia. I was not impressed, and I didn't finish the tutorial I was following. Then I tried drafting film for drawing this alpaca. This was my first time using the film. The Duralar film is considered the student grade film, and the graphics film is professional grade and takes more layering. Both are made by the same company, so it can be a little confusing. Remember, you can do hard things, and don't forget to celebrate the little things.